They laughed at the small fleet before realizing it came from humans. The stars stretched endlessly in every direction, shining cold and distant. At the very edge of the known galaxy, a small fleet of ships moved in careful formation. They were not large, not heavily armed, and their hulls were simple and plain. From a distance, they looked almost fragile, like tiny sparks drifting across the vast black sea of space. Captain Jack Carter stood on the bridge of the lead ship, the Horizon-class vessel Horizon Dawn, and studied the instruments carefully. His eyes scanned the radar, checking every blip that marked distant stars or alien vessels. His hands rested calmly on the rail, though his mind was busy with calculations, possibilities, and strategy. Next to him, his first officer, Eva Morris, leaned over a console, fingers tapping lightly as she adjusted communications channels. "They still haven't noticed us fully," Eva said softly. "Their sensors pick up something, but they don't realize how close we are." Jack nodded. "That's fine for now. Let them think we are weak. Let them laugh. Underestimating us will make it easier later." Across the galaxy, on the capital ship of the Voran Empire, Admiral Talik observed the small fleet through a large viewing screen. He had a sharp, angular face, pale green skin, and eyes that glowed faintly in the dim light of the command room. Around him, officers whispered to each other, their voices a mix of excitement and ridicule. "Look at that," one young officer, Vex, said, pointing at the image of the small human fleet. "They think they can come here with this pitiful number of ships? It's a joke." "Pathetic," another added. "Their armor is thin. Their weapons are weak. Even if all of them attacked together, we could destroy them in hours." Admiral Talik chuckled. He tapped a clawed hand against the console. "Do not worry, my friends. These humans are nothing. They are small, fragile, and slow. Let them come closer. We will greet them properly when the time is right." Back on Horizon Dawn, Jack Carter ignored the messages that the aliens were sending. Their mocking transmissions had been constant for hours, filled with taunts and insults. He had grown used to them. "Should we respond?" Eva asked quietly. Jack shook his head. "No. Let them laugh. Let them waste their energy. It makes it easier for us when the time comes." In the engine room, Luke Bennett, the ship's engineer, walked between the rows of humming machinery. He checked the energy output for the fleet's weapons, propulsion, and shield systems. The machines were quiet but efficient. Every ship in the fleet had been built to perform exactly as the humans needed, with careful planning and precision. "This little fleet of ours may look small, but it's ready," Luke said to himself. He smiled faintly. "It's ready for anything they think it's not." Not far from the Horizon Dawn, smaller scout ships darted between asteroids, their sensors scanning the dark void for any signs of the alien fleet. The humans were careful. They did not want to fight yet. They only wanted to observe, to understand the enemy, to see how the aliens reacted to them. The Voran Empire continued to mock. They sent messages filled with ridicule, calling the humans fragile, slow, and weak. They laughed over their screens, certain that this small, simple fleet could never pose a threat. "Captain Carter," Eva said, glancing at him, "they don't take us seriously. Should we worry?" Jack smiled faintly, a small curve of his lips. "That is exactly what we want. If they think we are weak, they will make mistakes. That is when we will show them who humans really are." On another ship in the fleet, Dr. Nora Hill, the human strategist, studied maps of the alien fleet's positions. She marked potential weak points and escape routes, calculating the odds of success for different maneuvers. Unlike the aliens, humans did not need a show of power to frighten others. They relied on intelligence, planning, and the ability to adapt. "They are confident," she said, speaking to a nearby officer, Ben Taylor. "They think size matters more than strategy. That is their first mistake." Ben nodded. "I like small fleets like this. They move quickly. They can hide. They can strike before anyone even knows what happened." As the human fleet moved forward, the aliens continued to underestimate them. They compared the humans to a tiny insect crawling across a giant battlefield. The Voran officers laughed at the humans, joking that they could destroy the small fleet with a single strike. Meanwhile, Jack Carter gathered the senior officers for a private meeting. Eva, Luke, Nora, and Ben joined him in the strategy room, a small circular chamber with holographic displays floating in the air. "We are small," Jack said, looking at the maps in front of them. "We are far from home, surrounded by a larger and stronger force. They are counting on fear, intimidation, and numbers to keep us from challenging them. But we are humans. We have survived against impossible odds before." "We will do it again," Eva nodded. "The enemy does not understand us. They see only the surface. They see small ships, light armor, and minimal weapons. They don't see what we can do when we work together." Luke added, "Every ship is ready. Every system is synchronized. If they attack without thinking, they will regret it. They don't know the kind of humans they are dealing with." Nora Hill tapped a point on the holographic map. "They are confident. They are arrogant. That makes them predictable. That is the advantage we have. If we move carefully, we can control the fight even before it starts." Ben grinned. "I like predictable enemies. It makes them easy to outsmart." Jack looked around the table, his face calm and steady. "We move slowly. We stay in formation. We watch. We learn. And we wait." They are laughing now, but laughter fades fast when the truth arrives. Hours passed as the fleet moved forward. The humans maintained tight formations, keeping close enough to watch the alien fleets but far enough to avoid detection of full strength. They did not fire weapons. They did not make noise. They only observed, recording every signal, every movement, and every mistake the aliens made. In the alien command room, the officers continued to mock. "Did you see that?" Vex said, pointing at the human fleet on the display. "They move so slowly, they are almost crawling through space. We could destroy them in a single strike." Admiral Talek laughed. "Patience, my young friend. Let them come closer. We will destroy them when it is most satisfying. Nothing will survive the moment we strike." Vex shook his head. "It seems almost too easy, Admiral." "Are we sure they are capable of anything?" Talek waved his hand dismissively. "Do not worry about them. They are weak. They are insignificant. Let us enjoy watching them struggle across the void." Back on the Horizon Dawn, Jack Carter and Eva Morris walked through the corridor that connected the command deck to the crew quarters. The ship hummed quietly around them, filled with the soft noises of machinery and the faint footsteps of sailors. "They think we are weak," Eva said again, shaking her head slightly. "They have no idea what we can do." Jack smiled. "That is exactly how it should be. Fear is powerful, but arrogance is dangerous. The more they laugh, the harder it will hit them when the truth comes." On the other side of the fleet, smaller human ships moved in tight circles, practicing maneuvers and rotations. The stars stretched endlessly around them, and for now, they were only travelers in the vast, dark ocean of space, waiting for the moment when the world would finally stop laughing. The small human fleet moved steadily through the cold, dark expanse of space. Every ship was in perfect formation, sliding past distant stars like a single living organism. No one spoke loudly. No alarms rang. Only the quiet hum of engines and the faint beeping of instruments filled the ships. Captain Jack Carter stood again on the bridge of the Horizon Dawn, looking at the distant alien fleet. The Vuran ships were massive, their hulls thick and strong, and their numbers far greater than the humans. But Jack did not feel fear. He felt calm, focused, and ready. "They still think we are weak," he said quietly to Eva Morris, who stood at his side. "That will be their mistake." Eva nodded. "They underestimate us. They think size matters more than skill. That is what gives us the advantage." Luke Bennett, the ship's engineer, walked along the bridge, checking the displays that showed energy levels and engine output for all the human ships. "Everything is running perfectly," he said. "Weapons, shields, engines. We can react in seconds if we need to." Ben Taylor, one of the tactical officers, smiled as he studied the alien fleet on his console. They keep moving slowly, too. They do not notice we are already in position. We could strike anywhere, at any time, and they would never expect it. Dr. Nora Hill joined the group, her eyes scanning a holographic map of the alien ships. Their formation is predictable. They think they are intimidating us by numbers. But they do not see the gaps, the weak points, and the blind spots. That is our advantage. Jack turned to his officers. We do not attack yet. We move quietly, observe, and prepare. When the moment comes, we strike, but only after we know exactly how to win. Remember, this is not about anger or pride. It is about survival and intelligence. The aliens do not understand humans, and that is why we have the upper hand. For hours, the human fleet advanced, each ship sliding like a shadow through space. Scouts moved ahead silently, mapping alien positions and sending information back to Horizon Dawn. The aliens continued to broadcast taunts, mocking the humans for their small numbers and slow speed. Pathetic little fleet. Admiral Talik's voice boomed over their transmissions. You have no chance against us. Your ships are weak. Your numbers are small. Surrender now and save yourselves from total destruction. Jack Carter did not reply. He knew that responding would give away nothing. The humans had learned that words were not as powerful as actions. They watched, calculated, and waited. Eva Morris turned to him. They think they can scare us. Do they not understand that humans never give up? Jack shook his head. No, Eva, they do not understand. That is the difference. Humans survive because we adapt, because we work together, because we use our brains. They fight with arrogance and strength, but not with intelligence. That will be their downfall. Meanwhile, the alien fleet moved with confidence. Their ships were enormous, bristling with weapons and armor. Each captain believed in the power of numbers. They did not notice the human subtle positioning. They did not notice the precise angles and distances the human fleet maintained. On one of the human ships, Lieutenant Sam Lewis observed the aliens through the viewports. They are confident, he said to his crewmate Tara Reid. They do not know how small we really are, or how prepared we are. They assume their size makes them invincible. Tara nodded. We have the advantage of planning and flexibility. They cannot react quickly because they are too big and slow. That is what will save us. On Horizon Dawn, Jack Carter called a meeting with the fleet's commanders. The small circular strategy room was filled with holographic displays showing every ship in the fleet and every alien target. We are in position, Jack said. Now we observe. We watch how they respond to our movements. We look for their mistakes. Every signal, every pattern, every communication tells us more than any attack could right now. Ava pointed to one of the displays. Their smaller ships are moving into formation near the edges. They think it is a scouting maneuver, but it creates gaps in their lines. That is where we can strike if needed. Ben Taylor's fingers flew over his console. We can take out their command ships first. That will create confusion. Then we can control the rest of the battle with minimal risk. Dr. Nora Hill nodded.
Exactly. But patience is key.
We do not attack yet. We wait for the perfect moment. Hours passed. The human fleet remained steady, disciplined, and silent. Scouts moved ahead and returned with data. The aliens continued to laugh, sending messages mocking the humans for moving too slowly.
This is a joke, Vex said again, pointing at the humans on the display. They move like snails.
They cannot possibly be a threat.
Admiral Talik laughed. Let them come closer.
Their small fleet is nothing. They will never challenge us. But Jack Carter and his officers were ready. They had anticipated every possible move the aliens could make. They knew that the aliens relied on arrogance, not intelligence. They knew that the aliens underestimated humans because humans were small and simple in appearance. On Horizon Dawn, Jack looked out at the stars and thought about Earth, their home. They think we are weak, he said softly. They do not know that humans have survived against impossible odds before. They do not know that we fight for each other, for our families, for our future. That is why we will succeed.
Ava stood next to him. They do not understand the human spirit.
That is what makes us strong. Weapons alone do not win wars. Luke Bennett checked the engines one more time. All systems are ready. Shields, weapons, propulsion. If the aliens attack now, we are ready. But we will not attack until we know exactly when to strike. Ben Taylor smiled.
They will never see it coming. They are too confident in their strength.
They do not realize how small fleets can be deadly when controlled by humans. In the alien fleet, confusion began to appear. Some officers noticed the humans' slow but precise movements. They could not understand why the humans were not panicking or fleeing. They could not understand why the humans moved in perfect formation despite their small size. "What are they doing?" one officer asked nervously. "They should be scared. They should run. Why are they moving like this?" Admiral Tollick frowned. "It is just patience. They are nothing. Do not overthink it. Soon we will crush them." But doubt had begun to seed itself among some of the alien captains. They could see that the humans were organized, disciplined, and coordinated. They did not rely on strength or numbers, but on intelligence, precision, and teamwork. On the Horizon Dawn, Jack called for another status report. "All ships report," he said. "Have the scouts found anything unusual?" Lieutenant Sam Lewis responded. "Nothing dangerous so far, Captain. The aliens are predictable. Their formation is rigid. They do not expect changes or surprises." Jack nodded. "Good. That is exactly what we need. Every rigid system can be exploited. Every arrogant mind can be tricked. Remember, the moment of advantage comes from patience, not force." Ava added, "We are ready for anything. Their weapons, numbers and size do not scare us. We know our strengths, and we know our limits. That is more than enough." Hours turned into a full day of careful observation. The human fleet moved slowly and quietly, scanning the aliens, noting weaknesses, and preparing strategies. Every officer and sailor was aware of their role. Every ship functioned as part of a larger plan. Meanwhile, the aliens' laughter grew more anxious. They still believed in their superiority, but the humans' patience confused them. "Why do they not attack?" Vex asked again. "Why do they wait?" Admiral Talick snapped.
Silence! They are nothing!
"Let them waste time. Soon we will destroy them." But in the calm of the human fleet, Jack Carter knew that the real battle would not be about numbers or size. It would be about intelligence, strategy, and timing. The humans' patience, discipline, and unity were already giving them the advantage. As night fell, or at least as far as the human eyes could measure in the endless darkness of space, the fleet remained steady. Scouts reported positions, communications channels buzzed with small updates, and every officer remained alert but calm. Jack stood at the bridge once more, looking at the distant alien fleet. "They think we are weak," he whispered. "They think we are nothing. That is their mistake. They do not know what humans are capable of. They do not know that the small can be deadly, that the patient can control the strong, and that intelligence can overcome arrogance. Soon, they will learn." Eva placed her hand on his arm. "And when they do, they will regret underestimating us." Jack nodded. "Yes, and it will not be a lesson they forget easily." The small human fleet continued to move forward, quiet, disciplined, and invisible to most of the galaxy. They were small, but they were ready. They were underestimated, but that gave them strength. And above all, they were human, and humans never gave up. The human fleet drifted silently in the cold darkness of space, waiting. For hours, they had moved slowly, observing, calculating, and positioning themselves perfectly. Every ship was in formation. Every officer knew their role. Every system hummed quietly with readiness. Captain Jack Carter stood on the bridge of Horizon Dawn, staring at the alien fleet on the distant view screen. The Voran ships were massive, bristling with weapons, and their numbers were overwhelming. But Jack did not feel fear. He felt confidence. He knew the humans had something the aliens could not understand: patience, intelligence, and coordination.
They are confident, Eva Moore said softly, standing beside him.
They do not know we are ready. Jack nodded. They will learn soon enough.
And it will not be gentle. In the alien command room, Admiral Tollick paced. His pale green skin gleamed under the dim lights.
He had been watching the humans for hours and still believed they were weak, but a small seed of doubt had begun to grow.
Why are they not attacking? One officer asked nervously. They are small. They should be easy to destroy.
Why do they wait? Tollick waved a clawed hand. They wait because they are insignificant. They have no plan. They are nothing. Focus on your positions. We will crush them when the time is right. But in the back of his mind, Tollick wondered if there was something he had not understood. He dismissed it quickly. Aliens rarely considered that a smaller, weaker species could be clever enough to challenge them. Back on Horizon Dawn, Jack Carter gathered his senior officers in the strategy room. The holographic map showed the positions of every ship in both fleets. Lines marked distances and angles, weak points and blind spots, safe zones and traps.
Now,
Jack said quietly, it is time. We have waited, we have observed, and we are ready. The aliens believe they are strong, but they do not understand humans. They have underestimated us for too long. Every weakness we see is their mistake, not ours. Ava nodded. We strike with precision. No wasted energy, no unnecessary risk. Just careful, controlled force. Ben Taylor smiled, fingers flying across his console. Their command ships are in the center, surrounded by heavy weapons. If we disable them first, chaos will spread quickly. The rest will be easy to handle.
Dr. Nora Hill tapped a point on the holographic map.
Their formation is rigid. They cannot adapt quickly. Once we hit, their response will be slow. We control the timing, the place, and the method. They cannot predict us. Luke Bennett checked the engines one last time. All systems are ready: shields, weapons, propulsion, energy distribution. We are prepared for anything they throw at us. Jack took a deep breath. Remember, humans do not fight recklessly. We fight smart, for survival and victory. Stay focused, stay calm, and follow the plan. The moment will come when we act. Until then, patience. The fleet moved closer, positioning themselves at precise angles around the alien forces. The aliens still did not notice. They continued to broadcast mocking messages, believing that the humans were too small and slow to pose any threat. Pitiful creatures, Vex said, pointing at the humans on the view screen. They are so weak, so slow. We could destroy them without effort. Admiral Tollick laughed. Do not overthink, Vex. They are nothing. Soon, they will disappear.
But the humans were ready.
Small energy pulses flowed through the fleet, invisible to alien sensors. Weapon systems activated silently. Shields strengthened. Communications were encrypted. Every human ship was synchronized, ready to act at Jack Carter's command. Now, Jack said, his voice calm and firm. Execute the plan. At that moment, the human fleet shifted. Not violently, not with explosions, but smoothly, silently, like a shadow moving across the stars. Energy pulses began to disrupt alien sensors. Communication lines went silent. Alien ships looked confused as systems began to fail. What is happening? Vex shouted. Our sensors, our communications, everything is failing. Tollick's eyes widened.
Impossible. How? The humans did not fire immediately.
They did not need to. The alien fleet had already begun to collapse from within. Ships lost connection with command. Weapon systems glitched. Engines faltered. Panic spread among the Voran forces as they realized their rigid, confident formation had become a trap. Captain Carter, Eva said, pointing at the displays. Their command ships are isolated. We can disable them completely with minimal risk. Jack nodded. Do it! Strike carefully, but decisively. One move at a time. We controlled the battle, not them. Ben Taylor initiated the attack. small human fighters darted from the edges of the fleet, moving faster than the aliens could track. They hit the command ships with precision EMP pulses, shutting down weapons and communications instantly. Explosions were minimal, but the effect was devastating.
What is happening?
Tolok yelled.
Our ships? They are dead.
How can this be? They are small. Weak, nothing. The alien officers panicked. They tried to reorganize, but every attempt failed. The humans had already calculated their reactions, anticipated their moves, and trapped them in a grid of precise strategy. One by one, the alien ship's weapon systems failed, engines stalled, and shields dropped. Eva Morris smiled at the display.
They thought they could overwhelm us with numbers.
They did not understand how humans think. Patience, coordination, and timing are more powerful than size. Luke Bennett monitored the energy flows, keeping the human fleet stable. They cannot adapt fast enough. Their arrogance is their weakness. Every system they rely on is failing. Nora Hill pointed at the holographic map. Their smaller vessels are scattered. Confusion spreads through their fleet. This is the moment to maintain pressure and control the fight completely. Jack Carter watched calmly as chaos spread through the Voran fleet.
Remember, we strike only as needed.
We are humans. We do not destroy more than necessary. But we finish this quickly and efficiently. Small explosions lit the distant blackness as the humans moved in, disabling critical alien ships one by one. The aliens had believed in the strength of their size, but their rigidity made them easy prey. The humans, small in number, moved like shadows, invisible and precise. Beck stared at the screens in horror.
This cannot be!
They are small, but they are controlling everything. How? Admiral Talek's voice trembled. They are humans, but this is impossible. They are too few, too weak, yet they dominate us. On Horizon Dawn, Jack Carter spoke calmly. They thought size and numbers mattered. They thought arrogance was power. Humans know otherwise. We adapt. We think. We act together. That is why we survive, and that is why we win. Eva Morris smiled at him. They will remember this day forever. Luke Bennett leaned against a console, watching the alien fleet falter. It is incredible. They assumed we were nothing, and now they are paralyzed. All because we prepared, stayed disciplined, and struck at the right moment. Nora Hill added, "This is what strategy can do." Intelligence is more powerful than raw force when applied correctly. Ben Taylor's grin widened. And they still do not understand. They thought they could scare us. They laughed. And now they are trapped in their own arrogance.
The alien fleet was in chaos.
Ships drifted aimlessly. Weapons fired without control. Command centers were offline. Fear spread like fire among the Voran forces. The humans moved carefully, finishing the job without unnecessary destruction. Every move was precise, controlled, and effective. In the silence that followed, Jack Carter addressed the fleet. Check your systems. Prepare for retreat if necessary. But remember, the battle is ours. The enemy believed they were stronger, but they failed to understand patience, intelligence, and unity. Humans survive because we think, we adapt, and we fight together. Ava nodded, and they will never forget it. From the wreckage of their confidence, the aliens scrambled. Voran commanders attempted to regroup, but the humans had already won control. The small fleet had outmaneuvered, outthought, and outlasted the enormous armada that had mocked them just hours before. Jack Carter looked out at the stars. They laughed at us because we were small. They assumed size mattered more than skill. Let this be a lesson to the galaxy. Humans are never to be underestimated. The small human fleet moved as one, silent and calm, among the scattered and broken alien ships. They had not sought unnecessary destruction. They had only proven their strength. And in the quiet of space, the humans had written their mark on the galaxy, not through sheer force, but through patience, intelligence, and unity. The Vorin Empire would recover, but it would remember. The moment a small fleet of humans arrived at the edge of known space, laughed at by a powerful enemy and yet emerged victorious, would never be forgotten. And the humans continued their mission, disciplined, calm, and ready for whatever came next, because they were small, underestimated, and yet stronger than anyone had imagined. The stars stretched endlessly, quiet and cold, as the small human fleet moved among the remnants of the Vorin Armada. The battle had ended, but the effects lingered. Alien ships floated silently, some drifting in space with no power, others barely moving, their weapon systems offline.
Impossible! Humans are insignificant. They should have been nothing. And yet,
they control the battlefield. This is unacceptable. Back on Horizon Dawn, Jack Carter held a private meeting with his senior officers. The battle was over, but the work of understanding and strategy continued.
"Check every system," Jack said. "Ensure the fleet is ready to move if needed."
We have won the battle, but we must remain prepared. The Vorin may attempt to regroup or call reinforcements. We cannot assume they will give up easily. Eva Morris looked at the displays. We should also send a message. Let them know we act with intelligence, not recklessness. Humans do not destroy unnecessarily, but we defend ourselves when threatened.
Jack nodded. "Prepare a calm, firm communication.
Explain our intentions. Warn them that we are capable, not vengeful."
Dr. Nora Hill added, "It is also a lesson for the galaxy.
Other species may underestimate humans, but now they will see the cost of arrogance. Luke Bennett checked the fleet's energy levels one last time. Everything is stable. The ships are ready to continue the mission or retreat as needed." Ben Taylor's grin was quiet but sharp. "We have shown strength without recklessness. The Vorin will not forget this, and other empires will take note."
Jack Carter looked out at the scattered alien fleet. "This is not just about victory," he said softly.
"It is about reputation. The humans have always survived, always adapted, and always worked together. That is what makes us strong. Size and numbers are nothing without intelligence and unity." Hours passed as the human fleet moved carefully through the debris of the battle. Small alien vessels that still had some power tried to regroup, but the humans did not give chase unnecessarily. The goal was not destruction but control, understanding, and a lesson in discipline.
The first communications from the Vorin Empire were cautious. Admiral Talek's voice, trembling, echoed through encrypted channels. This cannot continue. Humans, explain yourselves. Why do you act with such precision?"
"How can such a small force dominate so completely?" Jack Carter responded calmly, choosing his words carefully. "We do not seek unnecessary destruction."
Humans act with intelligence, discipline, and unity. We defend ourselves and our mission when threatened. You assumed weakness where there was strength. That is your error, not ours. Eva Morris watched the exchange. They are shocked. They still do not understand. But they are listening now, Luke Bennett added quietly, and they will not forget. Every empire that hears of this will reconsider underestimating humans. Dr. Nora Hill nodded. This is the beginning of a new reputation. Humans are small, but we are clever, disciplined, and coordinated. That is more than enough to survive and thrive in the galaxy. Ben Taylor leaned back in his chair, and they laughed at us first. That is the irony. They assumed we were weak, and that is what gave us the advantage. The humans spent the next day repairing minor damage to their ships and recovering energy from the systems they had used during the attack. Scouts moved through the debris field, cataloging alien technology and gathering intelligence for future missions. Every human officer knew that preparation was key, even after victory. Eva Morris reported to Jack Carter, "We have minimal damage. All ships are operational. No injuries beyond minor scratches and fatigue. The fleet is ready for the next move." Jack nodded. "Good. Send a message to Earth and our allies. Let them know we have succeeded without unnecessary loss. This is proof that humans survive, not through size or intimidation, but through intelligence and unity." As the fleet moved away from the remnants of the Voran armada, word of their victory began to spread across the galaxy. Smaller species who had once feared the Voran now looked at the humans with new respect. Larger empires took note of the unexpected skill, coordination, and discipline of this small fleet. In a distant council chamber, alien leaders discussed the event. "How could this happen?" one asked. "A small, weak fleet defeated our largest and strongest forces with ease." Another added, "We underestimated them. We relied on numbers and strength. They relied on intelligence, patience, and unity. That is something we did not expect." The humans, meanwhile, did not boast. They did not send threats. They continued their mission quietly, disciplined and calm. Their reputation was growing, not through fear, but through respect earned from skill and careful action. Jack Carter addressed his fleet one final time. "We have achieved what many thought impossible. We have defended ourselves, shown our strength, and earned respect. But remember, this is only one battle. The galaxy is vast, and challenges will come again. We must remain disciplined, patient, and intelligent in everything we do." Eva Morris added, "And remember, we do not fight recklessly. We fight smart, together, and for survival. That is what makes humans strong." Luke Bennett smiled. "And now the galaxy knows it. We are small, underestimated, and capable. That is enough." Dr. Nora Hill nodded.
"This is the beginning of a new era. Every species that encounters humans will think twice before underestimating us."
Ben Taylor leaned back, relaxed for the first time since the battle. "They laughed at us. They mocked us. And now they know the cost of arrogance. They will not make that mistake again." As the human fleet moved on, the stars stretched endlessly around them. The remnants of the Voran fleet drifted behind. A quiet reminder of the power of intelligence, discipline, and unity over arrogance and size. The humans had proven themselves in a way the galaxy would not soon forget. They had shown that even a small, underestimated fleet could change the balance of power. They had shown that patience, preparation, and coordination could defeat even the largest and most powerful enemy. Captain Jack Carter looked out at the endless stars. "We are humans," he said softly. "We survive. We adapt. We work together. And we will continue to do so, no matter the odds. That is the lesson the galaxy has learned today." Eva Morris smiled.
"And it will not be forgotten. We have earned our place in the stars not through arrogance, but through intelligence, discipline, and unity."
The small human fleet continued on its journey, calm, disciplined, and ready. They had faced the impossible, outsmarted a greater enemy, and survived. They had done so not because of numbers or size, but because they were human, and humans, when united, were stronger than anyone expected. The galaxy would remember the day the small fleet arrived, laughed at by the Voran Empire, and yet emerged victorious. It was a day that proved humans were not to be underestimated, and as the fleet moved on, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, reflecting the quiet strength of those who survived against impossible odds. In time, tales of the small human fleet spread across the galaxy. Stories of their intelligence, discipline, and courage became lessons for young officers and warnings for proud empires. And for the humans themselves, it was a quiet reminder. Even when the odds are impossible, patience, preparation, and unity can make the small, the underestimated, and the patient the strongest of all. Luke Bennett monitored the energy levels, ensuring that the fleet could respond instantly if needed. "This is more than preparation," Luke said quietly. "It's almost like they are teaching the aliens a lesson without even knowing it yet."
Dr. Nora Hill nodded.
"Yes, we are not just moving forward. We are observing, learning, and positioning ourselves. Every step matters. Every decision counts. The smallest mistake from the enemy can become a major advantage for us." Even in the quiet moments, the humans worked. They studied the enemy, practiced maneuvers, and adjusted strategies. They did not shout or boast. They did not send threatening messages. They simply prepared. The aliens, by contrast, continued to laugh. They assumed that the humans could not pose a serious threat. Every officer on the Varan capital ship believed in their own strength and numbers. They saw only what was obvious: small ships, light armor, and a slow approach. Night passed in the human fleet, though in space, night was only a concept. Time was measured by rotations, by shifts, and by the steady progress toward the unknown enemy. Jack Carter stood again on the bridge, looking at the small lights of the distant alien fleet.
"They are blind to the truth," he said softly. "Let them laugh."
Let them assume victory. The moment will come when they realize it was never their choice to begin with. Eva placed a hand on his shoulder. It will be a shock they won't forget. Jack nodded, his eyes returning to the blinking lights of the distant fleet. Humans have always been underestimated, and humans have always survived. This will be no different. The small human fleet continued to move forward, silent, disciplined, and ready. They did not know what awaited them in the coming hours, but they were prepared to face it together. The vast, proud fleet that had once mocked the humans now lay scattered and broken. Captain Jack Carter stood on the bridge of Horizon Dawn, gazing at the aftermath. He did not smile. There was no joy in destruction. But there was satisfaction in the calm knowledge that his fleet had acted with precision and discipline. "They assumed numbers and size would win," Jack said quietly to Eva Morris, who stood beside him. "They thought arrogance was strength. They were wrong." Eva nodded. "And they will remember it. The galaxy will remember it. We did not destroy everything. We just proved what humans can do." Luke Bennett moved among the consoles, checking the fleet's systems. Engines, weapons, shields, all functioning. Minimal damage across the fleet. We did exactly what we planned. Dr. Nora Hill studied the holographic map of the battle zone. We struck only where necessary. The aliens' command was crippled, their systems disabled, and their confidence destroyed. But we avoided unnecessary destruction. That is the difference between humans and empires that rely on brute force. Ben Taylor grinned. "It is beautiful." They laughed at us. They mocked us. And now they are paralyzed. All because we were smart, patient, and coordinated. Meanwhile, the Voran Empire tried to recover. Admiral Talek's command ship floated silently, damaged and disorganized. The once proud fleet now drifted with scattered signals and fractured communications. Talek's anger was matched only by disbelief. They were small and weak, and yet," he stammered, his voice trembling with frustration. "How could this happen? How could a fleet so small dominate us so completely?" Bex, his officer, could only shake his head. I don't know, Admiral. They moved as one." Every action precise, every move calculated. They were like shadows.
Talek slammed a claw against the console.